BBC breakfast host Naga Munchetty was hit with a brutal backlash after admitting the extreme lengths she went to in order to guarantee she'd never have children. Naga Munchetty was sterilized at the age of 44, in a surgical operation which involves cutting or blocking the fallopian tubes. The BBC breakfast host's decision came after years of knowing she didn't want to conceive, as well as suffering agonizingly painful and heavy periods due to a medical condition. Naga revealed that she'd been attacked by trolls for her decision to pursue a child-free lifestyle, with some describing her as wicked, but she insisted her mother understood, and told her she was still a baby herself. "I remember people saying, 'That's so wicked, how can you deny your parents' grandchildren?'" the TV presenter, who also hosts BBC Radio 5 Live, exclaimed to Saga. However, despite opposition, she was adamant she didn't want to go down the expensive and exhausting route of motherhood, a commitment for life. She and her TV director husband, James Hager, are happy with a child-free lifestyle, and she made the decision to get sterilized 6 years ago after an unsuccessful attempt at wearing a contraceptive coil back in 2017. Naga stated at the time that the pain of having it fitted had caused her to scream hysterically, reducing a nurse to tears and leaving her frantic husband, who was sitting in the waiting room, trying to find out what room I was in to make it stop. She fainted twice during the procedure, and her account of the trauma was nominated for Radio Times Moment of the Year. Naga quoted an article by Caitlin Moran which asked, "Why is it presumed that women will be fine with having their cervix artificially dilated with a pair of metal barbecue tongs before having what is basically the wire coat hanger from a doll's house inserted into their uterus?" She chose to have the coil removed a year later, and told The Times in a subsequent interview that she felt sterilization was the only option for her. "I knew I didn't want children and I didn't want to be reliant on hormones or the regimen of the pill because it didn't fit with my lifestyle," she explained. Meanwhile, Naga had been suffering painful periods from the age of 15, with the mystery behind the agony only being resolved years later with the diagnosis of adenomyosis, a condition where the lining of the uterus grows into the muscle in the wall of the womb. She slept on a towel on the floor during her worst moments, and was doubled over in pain, throwing up, passing out, cramping, and fainting over and over again. Naga was told that the condition is incurable and can only be resolved with hormones or a hysterectomy, which she'd refused to if she is expected to document her harrowing health experiences in her upcoming book, It's Probably Nothing, out later this month.